Protests turned destructive in downtown Seattle tonight. Here's what we know as of 10 o'clock. Protests started at about noon today in Seattle, but turned destructive right around 4 p.m. when someone lit a Seattle police cruiser on fire. Since then, we have seen widespread looting and destruction downtown. A curfew took effect at 5 p.m. tonight. It is in effect until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. Seattle police are now blocking all traffic coming into the city. Also tonight, we should let you know that 200 members of the Washington National Guard have been called up to come into Seattle. 75 have been deployed to Seattle tonight. The other 125 will arrive in the city tomorrow. All of this started earlier today with a peaceful protest at about noon just outside Seattle Police headquarters. People protesting the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota. At 3 o'clock, a large gathering took place. Thousands of people at Westlake Park in Seattle. Again, that started peacefully, but then about 3:45, pandemonium broke out. The police cruiser set on fire. As many as 8 other police cars set fire, and then police moved in to try to disperse the crowd. You're looking at police pepper spraying people, and there's another one of those burned vehicles right there. Not long after that, people started breaking into a number of stores in downtown Seattle. The Westlake area is the shopping district in Seattle. Nordstrom, Helly Hansen, Old Navy, and a number of other stores have been seriously looted. Let's go to King 5's Michael Crow. He's been covering everything since it began today. Michael.
Hey guys, still a chaotic scene here downtown. Just in the last couple minutes, we were changing batteries and a guy came over and kicked our microphone away and half broke it. We're actually watching this growing crowd trying to break into the T-Mobile back behind us, and I can hear glass. It sounds like they're making their way through. I mean, it just really speaks to the situation here. It's ebbs and flows of violence and looting. And they're just, I've used whack-a-mole so much, but you can see there is a contingent of police that has just arrived that is standing here, but certainly not enough to move up on the size of that group here. And that's what we've been seeing is groups grow, tear gas is thrown at them, pepper pellets sometimes, or flashbangs, and then the group disperses and eventually coalesces somewhere else. But this widespread destruction down here, we were just a block down the other way talking to a small business owner who had boards in the back of his truck and is patching up the broken windows of his business. And you could I just want to give you a listen because he had some powerful words about what he's experiencing now tonight after having his business looted and damaged.
A small business that got the windows smashed out of it.
What do you guys do here?
We hand make all of our own product upstairs. We're a local business. I mean, this is, what's funny is that my wife and I this morning were having a conversation about how horrible what happened was, and then we have to deal with this, it's...
I hear the emotion in your voice, man.
Well, this is 10 years of a lot of hard work, and, yeah.
And here you are at 10 o'clock on a Saturday having to board it up, right?
Yeah, and we're tons of stuff. That's all handmade here. It's not like we're manufacturing stuff over in China. It's handmade upstairs. This is my dad helping me board up windows. It's tough.
How did you find out about all this?
Actually, we were just having a family day, and my mom called and said, "Have you turned on the news?" And we've been watching it, and I was like, we have to go down and find out what happened. I mean, keeping my fingers crossed that there would be nothing that happened, but unfortunately, that's not the case.
So you were saying you were talking about how it was terrible what happened to George Floyd, and now this is. I mean, I don't know. How do you feel? Does anything about your opinion change, or just what's happened to you today with protests?
No. Well, I mean, what happened is still super sucky, super horrible. Like, I was telling my wife, I was like, man, I'm just like sick to my stomach. And it doesn't change how I feel about what happened. It's just a jagged pill to swallow a little bit,
I'm sorry, I asked that in a clumsy way. I guess what I mean is... Hey guys, and this, again, developing situation out here. Talk about a tale of two things going on here. We just saw the police take down that guy in the white here that they're moving up. It was dozens of people that were inside that T-Mobile store looting it. and then the police were pulling them out of the window bodily, and they're still running out. You can see this, and police are trying to get the few that are still inside. So that looks like arrests being made for sure. Certainly we have seen some people get away from those before. But looting in the T-Mobile store, we watched as they broke the window. Finally, the police had enough numbers to move up in there and take action on that. And they are taking people to the ground, making arrests right now. But there's just too much going on. If you look to the right here, we've got a security guard here, private security, looks like, protecting one of the broken windows at the Nordstrom. I just saw some guys come up to him, and then he kind of told them to leave, and then they go down to the other broken window at Nordstrom, where they're blatantly in and out of the window taking merchandise right now. There's just too much going on here downtown when these moments of looting and violence happen. I just keep saying whack-a-mole. I don't have a better word for it. It's what we're seeing. There's just too many people here that are looking to cause trouble. And there's a flashbang again, and the crowd will disperse. Somebody threw it back. I think that was a can. It's just unreal. It stops for a little bit, and then we have another thing like this. The crowd will coalesce and grab that they're willing to do that. That was firework, I think. I gotta tell you guys, that was some of the most physical stuff I've seen today coming out of that T-Mobile store. I could see cops grabbing him by the shoulder and pulling him out of the window there, because there were just dozens of people that had grown and in size and gone inside there. It's just unreal down here. I mean, people are getting very bold. Like I said, somebody walked up to me while I was kneeling on the ground not 5 minutes ago. This is the microphone we've been using, and I had it laying on the ground, and they just kicked it out of the way and broke it partially. People are getting very bold down here. Certainly we've seen that growing over the last couple of hours here. So, and again, you can see now it's kind of back to calm, right? People are back to recording. The police are moving up on the bike, but it has slacked off a little bit from that moment of action. It's these ebbs and flows that we're seeing here through the night here in downtown Seattle. And again, I'm just wondering, there's another flashbang, and you can see that's a gas canister that they just threw down there. It just continues. It ebbs and flows, and nobody is really sure when they'll stop down here. That's what we've got for you right now. We'll send it back to you.
All right, King 5's Michael Crow, thank you. Also, our Amy Marino has been covering everything downtown since it began unfolding this afternoon around 4 o'clock. Amy, what's going on right now where you are?
Well, right now we're up at 7th and Pine, just a few blocks away from where Michael is, and they still have some tactical officers out here. This group actually with the Bellevue Police Department. But we can actually see just how much destruction is out here. If you just kind of look along the sidewalk, you see so much broken glass. There's just trash thrown everywhere. It's thrown out in the street. I saw a truck roll through here just a few minutes ago. The whole back of it was just full of pieces of wood, plywood, just to put over windows. This is going to be a huge cleanup operation. There's graffiti on windows, there's graffiti on buildings, there's graffiti on all kinds of surfaces, marble, things like that. It is just going to be a tremendous cleanup operation to restore downtown. You can actually see some pieces of plywood. I don't know if you can pick them up, but they're just laying over there on the street and on the sidewalk. They were actually on a business, and they were pulled off by some of the people out here tonight. A nearby restaurant was broken into, and they actually pulled chairs and high chairs and some of the things inside the restaurant out onto the street. And many officers still out here trying to get a handle on the situation. And among all the trash I'm seeing, something we found too is you're seeing some of the debris for what the police were involved with. This is what they call a foam baton. It's one of the things that they actually, when they can shoot these out to try to push protesters back. And we're finding some little bits of stuff like this that shows what the police were using to deal with the crowd. It has a little bit of foam on the end, and they use things like this to fire out at protesters to try to push them back. It's one of their, non-lethal measures that they use. And once again, police very active out in the area. We're still seeing, people circulate, and it is a much smaller crowd than it was before. But obviously, there is still a lot to be done out here. And as we saw with Michael a moment ago, there's still people heavily involved with what's going on. I'm going to send it back to you, Mark.
All right, King 5's Amy Marino, and we should say that extensive looting has happened in that area of Seattle. Nordstrom, Old Navy, Helly Hansen, Eileen Fisher, Target, all of those stores have been extensively looted. Police are standing guard outside as many of those stores that they can. I want to talk more about the fires. The fire department in Seattle had a hard time getting to vehicles on fire today. Fire Chief Harold Scoggins addressed the media about the difficulties his department is facing tonight.
You may have seen us waiting to respond to fight vehicle fires. I want you to know I have a duty to keep our firefighters safe. And we're waiting to extinguish these fires until we can actually get in and do the good work. And that's why I think it's important our partnership with SPD and the escorts that they have been providing us throughout the day and throughout the evening. I also want to end with reminding those who are starting fires in the downtown area that they have very many unintended consequences. You may be hurt, those protesting may be hurt, those who live, visit, and work here or maybe here right now may be hurt. Businesses are lost and destroyed because of these fires. They spread very quickly, as you've seen on the news around the nation. Additionally, when you block streets, you're blocking our routes for our EMS emergency vehicles. As you heard Chief Cordner say, people have been injured. It has been difficult to get to those who are injured. As you're moving the railings around and the trees and everything else, you're blocking access routes to get people help. And that could be you too.
So we saw at least 4 police vehicles, perhaps as many as 8 in all, destroyed by fires this afternoon.